Am I live? Here we go. All right, I am live. Yay! I'm so excited to be here the first time in a while. I haven't been live since before the new year. And I took a couple weeks off, around the holidays. So now I am back and I'm super excited to be here. So if you are here, if you are tuning in with me live, please say hello so I can say hi to you, so I can tune in with your energy, because as always, this is a massive co creation. So I have a over winter break for like 6 days. And it was really, really nice to be out of the city and just in the middle of nowhere. And I, got to some pretty deep places within myself, did some really deep energetic work. I did my quantum accelerator call from up there, which was so potent and powerful. The ladies in there are making such quantum leaps, and it just literally blows my mind. So, yeah. So, what I wanted to talk about today is kind of like what I'm seeing moving forward as we move into the beginning part of 2022, and kind of this like download I had about what's going on in the world, and a perspective on that might be helpful for a lot of you. So, I was up in the mountains, and well, first of all, I just want to say Happy New Year, Happy 2022. Um, I'm really, really excited for this year, although it has felt really heavy. I'm not gonna lie, like the last few weeks, actually, pretty much like all of December, has felt pretty heavy for me, and I'm wondering if it's been the same for you guys. I definitely have this feeling of change. Hi, Maureen. I definitely have this feeling of change for 2022, and like these deep, it's interesting. So, this is how I explain it. So, I feel like everybody, and this is what I'm seeing in my clients and within myself, is that everybody's like shit is kind of getting handed to them on a platter right now. Like, your deepest, darkest wounds that you haven't been previously willing to look at are showing up for you right now to really look at. Whether, and for me, it was showing up with a lot of like past life and ancestral stuff that needed to be cleared. And I have a feeling for those of us that are doing a lot of work right now, it's probably going to be similar stuff, like stuff that we're holding on to in our cells, in our DNA, that's ready to be cleared so we can step into a higher level of spirituality, into a higher level of purpose, and into a higher level of unapologetically sharing our gifts. We just have to let go of this lower density energy. So, a lot of us are being faced with that right now. However, we also, what I'm seeing is people are growing so quickly and shifting and changing so quickly, quicker than I've ever seen anybody change. And I've been working in the healing space for a really long time, like over 20 years. So, right now, there's an opportunity for growth that we've never experienced before in our human evolution. So that is very apparent to me, and I've been shown that over and over and over again by the guides and the energies that I channel, is that what is really unprecedented about this time is our ability to shift and change our own energy to start to step into different versions of ourselves at a very rapid pace. And that is what I'm seeing with everyone. So while we are experiencing our shit getting handed to us on a platter, right? Like while we're having to kind of drudge through the mud, I'll say, and really go deep into these parts of ourselves that are painful and uncomfortable, and having to face things not only within ourselves, but really hard decisions in our outer reality, whether it be about relationships, about our kids, about decisions we need to make about how to navigate through the world at this time, because that alone is very trying, right? Um, so, whether we're dealing with it on a personal level, or a more outward level, we're all dealing with it, right? But at the same time, simultaneously, we are experiencing these profound shifts. Like I know for me, I feel completely different within myself and how I'm showing up in my own life. And I know that everyone else is feeling that too, especially the clients that I'm working with and everyone that I'm supporting through their growth. They are completely different right now than they were even 2 weeks ago. So if you are tuning in with me now, definitely say hi so I can say hi to you. I'm just kind of getting started with this energy forecast. So yeah, so that's what I'm seeing currently is at the same time we have this heightened sense of darkness coming to the surface that we're shifting, really deep stuff that we haven't even been able to access before. And at the same time, we're growing so much that you might not even recognize yourself because you are showing up so differently in your life. You are way more in your power. You are way more aware of what your motivations are. You're choosing out of codependency. You're choosing out of people pleasing. You're showing up for yourself. You're way more in alignment with who you really are and what you're meant to do. And you're making decisions from that place. So it's like this dichotomy of like the darkness and this crazy, spontaneous, rapid healing that I'm seeing with everybody. So, let me know if that is making sense, if that's resonating, and definitely say hi if you're watching. Okay, so this was the other really big download that I had because I know so many of my clients and all of you, everyone watching, it's really hard navigating through the world right now, right? It's like so divided. There's so much tension in the air, and there's so many things that it's like you feel like you don't even know how to navigate them. And this is going to sound really funny, but I was watching the show Vikings, and hi, Colleen. So I was watching the show Vikings, and I don't know if anyone has ever seen that show. It's actually pretty good. It's kind of violent, which I usually don't like, but it's like this epic story of like generations of Vikings who are like taking over like the England, like they live in like Norway, and then they're going to colonize and take over like parts of England and parts of France. And what ends up happening is like all the people who live in England and France are Christian, right? And they follow Christianity, they believe in the Christian God. And the Vikings are, considered like pagans, like they believe in all of these gods and they have their own like religion or whatever. And they go and they invade the English lands, and a lot of basically all that they end up fighting about is their belief systems, right? Your God is not real and my God is real. Or what you believe in is wrong and what I believe in is right. And I know the truth and you don't, and my truth is real and yours is not. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and I got this very clear communication from my guides. And they were like, hi, Roxy. And they were like, see, this is exactly what's still going on today. And I was like, holy shit, this is the exact same thing. It's just now that we've replaced God with science, or now we've replaced God with our belief systems, or what ideology we believe to be true. And it's literally the same exact energy, though. It's people fighting over what they think is real and what they think is true, and trying to tell somebody that doesn't believe that they're wrong, and trying to get them to believe that they're right. And I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what's going on right now, energetically. And then I'm thinking about it, and I was like, okay, well, what is really the higher perspective here? Like, what are we really being called to do? And the answer is to have a higher perspective, to raise our consciousness out of this division, out of this polarity of I'm right and you're wrong, and I know what's right and you don't. Because at the end of the day, whatever you believe to be true is real for you. That is your truth, right? That is what you believe to be true at this particular time, right? And we can always change what we believe to be true. But what I was looking at is I'm like, this is such a distraction from the truth of who we really are, which is divine, which is galactic, which is cosmic, which is multidimensional, which is gifted beyond what we can even comprehend right now, because this is what I'm constantly shown. And being so distracted with I'm right and you're wrong, and believe me, I get it. I'm right there with you, and I think what's going on in the world right now is really fucked up, and I'm dealing with it on many levels, and I'm reconciling it within myself, having to make decisions about my children and myself and my family. Like, it's really fucking difficult. But when I was shown this perspective and I was shown this higher perspective of like, it's about rising above like the right and the wrong and the polarity and the division and seeing things from a higher perspective and realizing that when you get into the truth of who you are, none of that actually even matters, and there really is no right or wrong. And it's funny because I'm saying this and there's another part of me that's like, no, there is a right and a wrong, right? Because I really there's a part of me that really believes that and is attached to that. And then there's another part of me that is seeing it from like this more fifth dimensional higher perspective. And the message here for all of you is like an invitation to go into that higher perspective and sit in that for a little bit and allow yourself to get some levity from the craziness and the chaos in the world so that you can find this piece of yourself that is sitting in this higher perspective, because there's a part of yourself that's already there. And it's really important that we connect with that part of ourselves as much as we can to realize that all of the division and all of the back and forth about belief systems. And it was funny, I was watching something the other day where she was calling belief systems BS, right? Belief systems, but it's BS. And I thought that was great. I had never heard that before. But it's true, because when we get locked into a belief system and an ideology, it makes us identify with that ideology and think that that is who we are and that is the only thing that's real. And from a higher perspective, that's just not true. You're so much more than that. And you came here for so much more than that. Like, if you're watching this, you came here to change things on this planet. And we always have to come back to that, right? Like, why are you here? What is your mission? And then let's bring your actions and your decisions back to your mission instead of being in reaction to somebody outside of you or something that happened in the past that's being triggered now. Because the other thing that's happening right now is that we are being triggered to heal a lot of ancestral and past life energies. And I know it's happening for me, right? Because literally I've been feeling like all of this persecution energy, this ostracization energy, this witch wound energy, because I literally feel like my children are going to be ostracized from society if I don't make certain decisions about their health, to be quite frank. And it's bringing up all of these feelings of previous lifetimes, being ostracized for my magic, being killed because I was psychic, like all of these things, which I know many of us have in our DNA and that we're holding through the ancestral lines that are ready to be cleared. So even though during this time it's so intense and it feels so chaotic, and like I'm right there with you. Yesterday, I was like, can I just go back to where I came from? Because this planet fucking sucks and I don't want to be here anymore. Like, that's how I was feeling yesterday. But from a higher perspective, a lot of the stuff that's happening currently, from what I can see from a higher energetic perspective, is actually serving to bring up these deeper wounds from other lifetimes that we're now meant to heal. And I know that it's not exactly fun, but that is what I'm seeing from like this higher perspective, that it's actually serving a purpose in that way so that we can, those deeper wounds can be triggered and we can heal and release them. So that was like, one of the big downloads that I got while I was up in the mountains is like, we need to sit in the higher perspective as much as we possibly can. And we are humans living in this 3D reality. So it's not always, we can't always sit in that fifth dimensional perspective, in that higher perspective. But as much as we can sit in that perspective, it really helps to A, calm the nervous system. B, it helps with your healing process. So, as you are moving through these deeper wounds that you're healing and transmuting and shifting out of the body, the more you can stay in that higher consciousness perspective and that higher frequency, it helps to really allow those lower energies to clear from the body. So, it's so important. Hey guys, I'm just looking at the comments. Wait, did I miss anything? No. Hi Emily. Hi Colleen. Hi Roxy. Hi Jenny. So anyway, yeah. So it really, really helps to stay in that higher perspective as much as you can, even though like right now it's difficult. Okay, so that was the one thing. And then, oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is this is just really fun and exciting. So I had a Galactic Starseed astrology reading, and I had never heard of this either. Like it was so fucking crazy. So it's these astrologers who have been studying the astrology of starseeds for 30 years, and they have like pinpointed different patterns and aspects specifically that star seeds have. So like just to explain, like if you're like, well, what exactly is a star seed? It's basically somebody who has come to this earth from another planet or another reality, another galaxy, another space and time to help humanity evolve. And almost like if you're watching this, you most likely are a star seed. Like if you kind of know if you are. So these women have been studying the astrology of star seeds, and they've pinpointed these different aspects that all star seeds come in with. And then when they read your astrology chart, they read it based on these galactic points that you have in your chart, which correlate to what you're meant to be doing and the way that you're meant to be helping on this planet. And when I had this reading yesterday, it was just like really, really affirming, because you guys have been hearing me share. If you've been following me for a while, you've been hearing me share that like I get these like crazy downloads and I channel these galactic energies, like not only the Pleiadians, but also different energies from different star systems. And I'm able to see like in your Akashic records, like what different cosmic energies you are related to, right? Like where you came from on a galactic level. And like there was this part of me that was like, this is crazy. Am I making this up? Like when I channeled the galactic access codes last spring or last summer, whenever that was, I kept getting this really strong download about it. Like you are going to help people access this specific galactic energy. You're going to help them access or activate their galactic knowledge portal. And I was like, what does this even mean? Like this is crazy. And even when I was teaching it, I was kind of like, what is this? But I was so strongly guided to teach it that I just had to teach it. So basically, when I had this reading, the woman was like, you have one of like the strongest, like, star seed galactic energy astrology charts that I've ever seen. And she said that like I have the ability to tune into like all the galactic energies. So like even though I have a lot of points on my chart which are Pleiadian, which I also knew, and then that was very confirming for me, because like there's a part of you that really thinks you're making it up. Like you literally think that, because it's perspective when you can't like see something or experience it with your senses. There's a part of you that doesn't believe it. So of course I could feel it so strongly, and I got the messages so strongly ever since I was young. But to have this confirmation in this reading where she was like, yeah, like this is this is a very specific point that Pleiadian energy like people who have Pleiadian energy come in with this point like every single time. Had like all of them. And then I had something in there. I don't remember what the actual aspects are. Jenny, you'll probably be more interested in knowing what they are. But there was another thing I had where she said I channel all galactic energies, which is interesting because I channeled that galactic access code thing, not really knowing what it was. And here it's literally like written in my chart that I channel all galactic energies. So she said that, like, even though there's specific ones like Pleiadian, Arcturian, Sirius, Orion, like all of these different things, she was like, it's almost like if each one of those different star systems was like an NFL team, you would channel the entire NFL, not just one of the teams. And I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. But it was just so affirming to me, because, like I said, some of the stuff that comes through, I like swear that, not that I think I'm making it up, but I like question if I'm making it up because it's just so out there, you know, and it's just, I don't have any frame of reference for it. So, with that being said, I am really guided to do another master class, like a one night class where I do like a galactic energetic attunement for all of you. And then I also am going to have a Q&A, where you can ask me like one question and I'll just like laser focus and tell you exactly what the block is and give you that like new perspective that'll shift your energy completely around it. I don't know when I'm doing it yet. I think I'm going to do it on like, not next week, but the week after. But if you want me to put you on the list, just comment here or message me and I'll put you on the list, because I think I'm only going to take a certain amount of people just so I can have time to answer everybody's questions and give everybody the time that they deserve. What are they called? They're calling it the Pleiadian Energy Attunement Masterclass. Yeah. So that's going to be that. I'll keep you posted with the date and the time. But if you want to get 100% in, it's going to be $97. So if you want to be in, just message me or put it in the comments and I'll read the comments. So, okay. And then the last thing I just wanted to talk about was the energies that I'm tuning into for 2022. So this is more like what I'm getting for the next few months. So the word that they're giving me, sorry. The word that they're giving me for 2022 is alignment. And like, I was like, really, is that the best you can do? Because to me, that sounds boring. But then as I was kind of tuning into it, there's a way that right now, doing what is aligned for you is the most powerful spiritual practice that you can do. And here's why. Because what we're being called to do right now on a very deep level is heal our relationships. And not only that, but heal our relationship with ourselves. And within that, the programming that we've received from society is highly codependent. Like every kind of programming that you've received around relationships is literally telling you that you are responsible for how the other person feels, and that you are responsible for the other person's emotions, and that you need to sacrifice yourself for somebody else. And that is codependency. That doesn't work for everyone, for anyone, and it keeps everyone not in their power. The quickest way to disempower yourself is to be in a codependent relationship. Because it's literally, this is what a codependent relationship is saying on an energetic level. It's saying, I don't think that you can handle your life. I don't trust you to handle your life. So I'm going to step in and handle it for you. Or it's saying, I don't trust myself to regulate my own emotions, so I am going to rely on you to regulate my emotions for me. And that is the classic codependent relationship. And sadly, that's what's really been modeled to us. And it goes even deeper than that because, I think when it comes back to like the mother energy has been really distorted because we kind of have this programming that a mother is supposed to be everything to her child, right? And can never be everything to anyone, including her child, right? Everyone is human and they have certain deficits and they have certain abilities and certain things that they're not capable of. So then a child will inherently feel like there were gaps in their development and they had needs that were not met. So then they are constantly, until they heal this, they are constantly looking outside of themselves for someone to show up and be their mom and fill in those gaps for them and meet those needs that they didn't get met. So in a relationship, what ends up happening is we are unconsciously waiting for the other person to meet our needs. And then when they don't, we get mad at them. And then we don't even really know why we're mad at them. We think it's because of like the present situation, but it never is. So what the reason why I brought that up is because that paradigm of relating is ending. And especially for the people who are willing to show up and do the work, it's going to be easier than ever to step out of that paradigm and start working in a paradigm of self sovereignty, self responsibility, and relating in a way where you are present with the other person, enjoying them for who they are without expecting them to meet some need that you are holding within you that you're not even aware of. So, this is something that I see shifting within the next year for the people that are really doing the work is we're having this like collective purge of codependent relationships, right? Because this is so necessary to move into a new way of living because we can't create something new if we are still giving our power away thinking that other people are responsible for us. It's just not going to work. There's no way. And we have to move into that higher perspective of relationships the same way I was talking about before with moving into that higher perspective around the division that we're experiencing on the planet. The answer is never going to be to argue with somebody to try to get them to see it your way. That's never going to work. The only way that things are going to move forward is if we shift into a higher perspective and realize that it doesn't matter and it's okay for your truth to be your truth and my truth to be my truth. So that is really what I'm seeing for the energies moving into 2022. And I've definitely been following the astrology very closely, which I highly recommend you doing because now more than ever, I would look at the astrology more than you look at the weather because right now the aspects are so important and so strong that understanding the influences that you're going to be under is so important, especially when you're scheduling things. We have some of the things that I've been following really closely. I'll just run it off for you so you can be aware. January 14th, we have Mercury in retrograde. I know everyone kind of knows what that's about, so I don't have to explain that. And then I think it's on January 19th, the nodes of the moon are shifting. So the south node is traditionally like what we're healing and what we're coming from, like the baggage that you're bringing and the baggage that you're releasing. And then the north node is where we're going. So we're shifting into, like right now we're in South Node Sagittarius and North Node Gemini. Is it Gemini? Yeah, and then we're shifting into North Node Taurus and South Node Scorpio. So South Node in Scorpio is kind of insane because it has the potential to expose like hidden secrets and things that have been lying underneath the surface, that it's now time to be healed. So I think we're going to see that on an individual and a collective level, within, like, on the world stage and within ourselves. So that goes right along with this energy that I'm tuning into of clearing this deeper baggage within yourself. Because the more you're committed to doing that, the easier your life is going to be. And I know that seems counterintuitive, because a lot of us think it's easier to just put your head in the sand and not deal with yourself. But the more that you do that, the harder your life is going to become. And the more that you can 100% dedicate yourself to your own evolution, the easier it's going to get. And if you need support with that, I have paved the way. I've come up with all the tools and I can help you. So you can talk to me about that. Okay, so then the last thing that I want to talk about really quickly is the USA Pluto return. So this is another thing I've been following very, very closely. My friend Jenny, who I think is still watching, we talked about a little bit when she was on my podcast. So the USA Pluto return. So Pluto is the planet of like destruction and like demolishing and rebuilding. So Pluto, so when you have your Pluto return, it's basically like a deconstruction and like a reconstruction, from what I understand. I just listened to this like roundtable of all different astrologers talking about the Pluto return. So basically what's happening is the Pluto return is that Pluto returns to the point that it was at the birth of the USA. So like July 4th, 1776, which was like the birth of the United States. Pluto is at, I think it's like 26 degrees of Capricorn. I can't remember, but Pluto is returning to that exact spot for the first time since the nation was born, because Pluto's, the time it takes for Pluto to go once around the sun is like 240 something years, or whatever the number is, 200 something years. So now it's returning in February. And what that means on an energetic level is that we're going to see a lot of like destruction and kind of like death and rebirth, especially in the United States. So that's like a huge thing that a lot of astrologers are talking about, and it's a huge energy. So it's like those three things that I'm really tuning into right now, as far as the energies that we can expect coming up. But like I said, the biggest thing that I'm seeing is that the willingness and the dedication to your own evolution is going to be paramount during these times, and especially this year and in the coming months. So let me know if this was if this is resonating with you. Let me know how you're feeling. I'm just going to the comments here. Hi, Maria. She says, I actually just cut off a friendship where I felt the other person was expecting too much from me. She was expecting me to show up in ways that I just didn't want to, and I was energetically draining. Now that I think about it, it was a toxic relationship. Yeah, and you know, I think it's easy to be in relationships with people that are conscious, right? Because even if you do have stuff come up, you can talk about it and you can use it as a healing opportunity to say, oh, you know what, this is what's coming up for me, and I'm going to move through it, you know. But if it's somebody who is not willing to do that work, then it can be a lot harder. And it is going to be the time where people disconnect from a lot of codependent relationships, especially if the other person is not willing to step up and do the work. So thank you for sharing that, Maria. Okay, so I think that's all I have for today. Again, if you want to get on the list for the Pleiadian Energy Attunement Masterclass, just message me or put something in the comments. And then also, if you are feeling the call to go deeper with this work and really go all in on showing up for yourself and putting your evolution first, then reach out to me so I can figure out the best way to support you with that. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here. I will be back next week with another energy forecast, and every Friday for this foreseeable future moving forward. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend.